Warren Buffett famously said, diversification is insurance against ignorance. But if you know what you're doing, then it's not necessary. Now, don't get me wrong. Old Warren, he's done all right for himself as an investor. But if he was a marketing manager, he'd be a total washout with an attitude like that. In this video, we're going to talk about digital marketing diversification, and in particular, having a diverse source of traffic to your website, because it's become apparent that there is an overexposure time bomb waiting to go off for many businesses. I've seen it go off once before and it was horrific. I don't want it to happen to you. So in this video, we're going to work out, are you overexposed with your digital marketing? And if you are, how do we fix it? So I'm going to give you some practical examples. I'm going to show you some examples of businesses that are either properly exposed or overexposed. And at the end, I'm going to wrap up with some action tips, 3 of them, in fact, that you can apply to make sure that your business is secure and insulated against any possible catastrophes in the future. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, a little bit of a story, first of all, about where this comes from. So last week I spoke at an event, and at that event were about 500 or so business owners and marketers. It's the first event since lockdown, so it's a good chance to kind of catch up with people and get the lay of the land of what's going on with marketing. I was shocked and appalled at this particular issue. I had the same conversation maybe 15, 20 times, and it went something like this. Hey Tim, loved your talk. Of course. We're doing really well. We've got loads of Facebook ads going on. We're spending about 30 to 50K a month and it's going really well. But since the iOS update, we've noticed that our conversions are starting to drop. Okay, so what other traffic sources are you running? Okay. No, just Facebook ads. No joke. I spoke to one business owner. They'd grown their business to 2 million in revenue. They're reliant on one traffic source, in this case, Facebook ads, and one landing page. That is extreme overexposure. Now, let me be clear. I'm not saying that Facebook ads is a bad traffic source at all. In fact, if you're doing well with Facebook ads, you do it. You do it hard. You plow everything that you can into Facebook ads, make it work, make hay while the sun shines, keep driving that hard. But what I do have an issue with is this single focus on one particular traffic source. This is dangerous and I've seen it blow up before and it didn't turn out well. Now, I'm not saying that Facebook ads is a bad channel at all. I'm not picking on Facebook ads at all. This particular event had a lot of people that were doing loads on Facebook ads and organically with Facebook groups. And they were their only traffic sources, which terrifies me. Not because those are bad traffic sources. In fact, every traffic source that you might have comes with risks. Traffic sources basically come in 2 flavors. They're organic or paid. Anytime there's an organic traffic source like SEO or like organic social, or to an extent influencer, there is the risk of some sort of visibility algorithm changing. If you're trying to get ranked on Google, or you're relying on being seen on LinkedIn organically, or Facebook or Instagram or TikTok organically, you are at the mercy of somebody's visibility algorithm. And all of these companies are constantly tweaking their algorithm to improve engagement. Now, I remember just before starting Exposure Ninja, the Penguin update came out. And the Penguin update, for those that are too young, bless you, to remember, was a Google ranking algorithm update which obliterated a whole bunch of sites. One of my first ever clients was a lovely husband and wife couple that built this lovely business where they would have loads of content on the site. They would have an active forum that people would come on. If you had a dream in the night and you wanted to find out what that dream meant, you would type in, what does it mean when I'm eating booja boojas until I explode in the middle of the night crying? You'd type that in search and up would come their website and they'd monetize you by showing you ads. And this was their model. It was ad driven, so they'd make money through AdSense. And it was a great business and it supported their lifestyle. Then all of a sudden Google Penguin rolled out and that business was obliterated because their only source of traffic, organic search, was immediately taken away from them. Now, we didn't actually manage to fix that. That business just went, it died, and they had to go and do other things instead. And that really stuck with me. Seeing the impact of this algorithm update on these people and this business really kind of shook me and persuaded me. And from then on, I said, right, there is no over-reliance on one particular traffic source. So that was them. So that's the danger of organic traffic sources. Now, the danger with paid traffic sources isn't actually any less. you are still subject to algorithm updates. You're subject to competition increases where people might increase the cost of CPCs by competing more. You're subject to regulations and legislation that might limit the visibility or limit the ability of the platforms to run ads for your particular service. You're of course always at risk of the ad platform just deciding to ban your account with no reason or with little reason. And there's really not much you can do in some circumstances if they choose to do that. So every traffic source comes with danger. And of course, all traffic sources are also subject to the danger of user behavior changing. For example, all the bands that relied on MySpace before MySpace just faded into oblivion. Every traffic source comes with danger. And of course, when things are going well, when we're getting lots of traffic from one particular source and it's going really well, we're making loads of money, it's really difficult to say, yeah, do you know what? We're going to take some of that stuff that's going really well and we're going to invest it over here, which is completely unproven, brand new and untested, because we think that something might happen over here, right? It's basically a hedge. It's basically insurance against anything bad happening. And insurance is never a popular sale if you've got my sort of mindset, which is all in, let's go. But trust me, things can go badly and you don't want to be in a situation where you are left completely exposed like that. So it's not going to be easy for me to persuade you to diversify, but that's exactly what I'm going to try and do in this video. Okay, so question one, how do I know if I'm over-reliant on a particular traffic channel? Well, our most successful clients get their traffic from three main buckets. The first bucket is organic traffic. So this is organic search traffic or organic social traffic. It's traffic that comes from some sort of organic channel. The second bucket is paid traffic. Again, paid search, paid social. These are the main kind of categories of paid traffic. Also display, remarketing, that type of thing. The third bucket is direct traffic. So direct traffic is people that already know you. They're typing in your website or they're typing in your brand name if we kind of lump in branded traffic into the direct traffic as part of organic. That gets confusing. We're not going to worry about that now. So we've got these three buckets: organic, paid, and direct or branded traffic. So in order to work out what over-reliance looks like, let's look at some example businesses from Exposure Ninja's clients. So this first example is Exposure Ninja, and you can see from the analytics here that 81% or almost 82% of our total traffic to our website is organic search traffic. That's massive, but we are not as over-reliant on organic traffic as it might appear, because firstly, a lot of that is branded traffic, people searching for Exposure Ninja. But another reason we're not as over-reliant on organic traffic as it might first appear is that whilst we're getting 82% of our traffic from organic search, we're only getting 42.8% of our conversions from organic search. And it's the conversions which define over-reliance. We're getting 30% of our conversions from direct, which is often people listening to the podcast or watching a video and typing the URL in. We're getting 16% of our conversions from social, 4.5% from referral, 1% from paid. That's really not a focus for us at the moment, and so on. Now, this business is a really interesting example because when they started with us, they were getting almost all of their conversions from organic search. They didn't actually believe that paid traffic could be a good source of traffic for them. They tried it in the past and it hadn't really worked out. But we were concerned that they were too over-reliant on organic, and we wanted to establish a paid traffic source just in case anything happened to that organic traffic one day. So here's how things are going. So organic traffic is bringing them 27% of their total conversions or 25% of their total revenue. But paid search now contributes almost 37% of their revenue. Direct traffic, they sell a fair amount through repeat business, is 34%, and then the other traffic channels make up the rest. So here we have a pretty even split really between organic, paid, and direct. This is a sick business. This is an 8-figure annual business. One of our largest clients, we've helped them grow a third in the last year, which is extraordinary. But look at the split between their different traffic sources. We have direct traffic contributing 40%. A lot of that is repeat custom for them, and also they're extremely well known in their space. We have organic search contributing 21%, paid search contributing 10.5%, and referral contributing 23%. There are some quirks of their payment processor, which means some of this referral traffic is not true referral traffic. But nevertheless, we see a diverse range of conversion sources here. Now let's contrast these cases with this particular brand new client for us. So they've got 49% of their revenue, 65% of their transactions coming from organic search. Now, whilst that shows that there is loads of potential with them for organic search, and of course we'll be helping them maximize that organic search traffic further, the big concern for me here is a lack of diversity across all their other channels, because we don't have any other channel that they can easily control, like turn up and down, featuring here really. We've got paid search contributing 2.1% of their revenue, which really isn't enough to be able to scale it quickly. So one of our goals here will be helping them to establish paid search as an alternative source of revenue should anything ever happen to that organic search traffic. Here is a business that has fallen down a classic pothole. Now, we've worked with this business for years and taken their paid search activity from nothing to being most of their business. And paid search makes them millions. In fact, it contributes about 70% of their total revenue across these different categories of paid search: generic paid search and branded paid search. But they have never made the decision to reinvest any of that revenue in organic traffic. So they don't really have a significant source of revenue other than this paid search, which makes them incredibly vulnerable should anything happen with paid search. Should Google change its policy around their business? Should Google ban their Google ad account? Or should competitors just decide to go hell for leather and go negative massively on the first sale? They don't really have a backup plan here. So this is an example of a business that is incredibly overexposed to one particular traffic channel. And if this was me, I will be struggling to sleep at night. Now, for this particular business and this particular marketing team, they are so focused on paid search, that's all that they really care about, and it's entirely their decision. But I've seen cases before where businesses have been this gung-ho on one traffic channel at the expense of everything else. Something unanticipated happens and it can get quite sticky. So for me, this would be a red flag. This is extreme overexposure. So really the optimal approach is to start with one or two traffic channels, get them really well established, get them working, and then build out the foundations of alternative traffic channels so that you've got that diverse source of traffic. Gymshark is a fantastic example of a business that has done this. Now, obviously Gymshark is so well known for being so influencer-led, and that's how Gymshark grew its business, through influencer marketing, through building up ambassador relationships with different influencers. But what's really interesting about Gymshark's journey is as they've grown, they've invested more and more in organic search, paid search, and paid social. So these aren't traditional influencer channels. So they've used them to diversify and scale. They've also insulated themselves against any particular influencers either stopping working with Gymshark or bringing out their own rival product ranges by broadening their range of influencers. This means that they've got really diverse traffic channels and they're in a really, really solid place for growth. So for me, this really is a pretty optimum model to adopt. Here we can see their organic traffic, and it's huge and it's growing. I would now estimate that organic traffic is their largest traffic source to their website, even ahead of social. Possibly not direct, not too sure, but definitely organic traffic is now a massive traffic source. Even paid traffic as well. They're doing great work with Google Shopping and Google Text Ads. Okay, so how much should you diversify your traffic channels? What we tend to find is that our most successful clients, either the highest revenue or the fastest growing clients, never tend to rely on one traffic source for more than 40% of their total conversions, okay? So we're talking about conversions, not traffic here. Their most important traffic channel will rarely provide significantly more than 40% of their total conversions. Now, this is a fairly sensible number if you think about it, because what's most likely to happen if any particular traffic channel is heavily impacted, it's unlikely that it would go to zero overnight. Of course, this can happen with some paid traffic channels if your account gets banned or whatever, but what's much more typical is that something will happen with the visibility algorithm or new legislation or new regulations, which mean that one particular traffic channel is reduced in its effectiveness. So if we allow for a 50% reduction in any one traffic source, then having a maximum of 40% of your total conversions, are you sticking with this, really insulates you. Let me explain. So let's say that of all the conversions that you're getting to your website, no single channel contributes more than 40%. Well, overnight, that traffic channel gets halved. Well, you've only really lost 20% of your total conversions. Whilst 20% of your total conversions isn't the sort of amount that you want to lose, for most businesses, their margins can sustain that, at least temporarily, while they figure out what to do and how to adapt to this. Now, of course, if you're relying on a traffic channel for 70, 80, 100% of your total conversions, if you lose half of those, then you're in the danger zone. This is churning through cash, this is redundancy time, this is serious issues. So by limiting your exposure to any one traffic channel to 40% of your conversions, you are insulated against that sort of thing being too chaotic for the business. You're really insulated against some sort of traffic catastrophe impacting your business too heavily. Knock, 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 knock. Hope you're enjoying this video. If you are, consider liking and of course subscribe to the channel. We release a new video and have a live every single week. We are relentless. And don't forget also, if you want some help with your digital marketing, the team here at Exposure Ninja offer a free website and marketing review. In this marketing review, we'll take a look at your website, your digital marketing, and your competitors. We'll analyze what you need to do to improve both the diversity of your traffic channels, but also just to generate more leads and sales through your site. We'll put all of this into a 15-minute video, which we'll send to you through the power of magic or email, and there's no obligation to use our service at all. It's totally free of charge and it's completely awesome. So go to exposureninja.com/review to request that. So the next question you might have is, okay, let's say that I'm overexposed to one particular traffic channel. How do I find the alternative traffic sources that I should be focusing on? Well, classic digital marketing answer here, it depends. Don't worry, I'm going to give you a little more than that. So you often hear us talk on the Exposure Ninja podcast and our videos about the difference between search and impulse businesses, right? Let's use an example. I'm outside my door, the key's snapped in, I can't get in, I need a locksmith. What I'm doing is I'm going straight to Google to type in locksmith. What I'm not doing is going onto TikTok, scrolling through my For You page, hoping that I see a locksmith ad. That would be mental. Same thing, when we got home one day and found water pouring through our kitchen ceiling, I didn't go to Instagram and keep scrolling until I found a local plumber that looked like they were doing some good social media. I went straight to Google and searched emergency plumber. So that is an example of a search-focused business. I know I've got pain now, I need this thing sorted. But let's say that I've developed a new type of face mask. It's a Peruvian mud algae face mask. You put it on, you peel it off, and it takes out all that skank from your pores. This is a great product to sell as an impulse purchase. In other words, I'm scrolling through TikTok, I see this video of someone doing it, it looks crazy, I'm buying that thing. That is a great impulse product, and you'll see a lot of face masks on Instagram and on social. So those sorts of interruption ads where I'm not going to that channel to see ads, but I see something that's relevant to me, that's a good avenue to pursue for a kind of impulse or interruption type business. Now, obviously we've looked there at two extremes, the search-focused locksmith or the impulse-focused Peruvian mud algae face mask. In reality, most businesses sit somewhere between those two extremes. If you're selling clothing, like Gymshark, there's going to be an aspect of Gymshark's business which is search-focused. If I'm searching for workout leggings, for example, I'm going to go on Google and search for that. But I can also be persuaded to buy workout leggings through an impulse ad that I see on Instagram or through an influencer post somewhere. Cosmetics, same sort of thing. There's a search component and there's an impulse component. Now, for B2Bs and for service companies, they will find that they often have a bit of an in the middle thing going on where they have a bit of search and they have a bit of impulse. So why is this important for diversification? Well, where you sit on that spectrum between search and impulse will define the traffic channels that are most likely to make sense for you. For example, let's say that the locksmith has great visibility organically on Google, but they don't have anything else going on. So where should they diversify to? Well, what doesn't make sense is for them to diversify into TikTok. No sense at all. what they should be diversifying into is other search channels like paid search, like Bing, because that's where their audience is. The same for the Peruvian mud algae face mask, right? If they want to diversify from their Instagram ads that are going really well, what do they want to do? Well, they might want to go into TikTok. They might want to build a good organic social visibility. They might want to build an influencer strategy. So you can see how your position on this spectrum kind of directs which traffic channels you will be diversifying into. And of course, if you're one of the lucky folk that sits somewhere in between these extremes, that means you have options. You are the Gymshark, where you can do more on impulse and more on search, and you have much more options available to you. For example, we have clients in the supplement space, and supplements are both a search and an impulse business. They can sell well through search, they can sell well through impulse, for example, social ads, organic social, and influencer. So they can diversify in each of these different areas. All right, Tim, sounds good. I have to give you some warnings though. Diversification is painful. If you're used to putting money and time and energy into one traffic source that's working really well for you and earning you an ROI, taking some of that resource and deploying it in somewhere else that is unproven, untested, and very new hurts. Let me be honest, it hurts. It's unlikely that any new traffic source is going to pay off immediately. This is particularly useful for businesses that have become reliant on paid traffic when they start diversifying into organic traffic channels, because whilst the potential for traffic is huge, the potential for return is huge, the time it takes to get there can also be quite long. So here's an example of patience. So when this client came to us, this is an Australian e-commerce business, they were extremely reliant on their referral program. And they were generating around 50% of their revenue from referrals. Now, the challenge for us is that we need to establish other traffic channels, particularly organic search, which was contributing 10%, and paid search, which was contributing 29%. We needed to kind of increase those avenues so that we could help this business grow whilst also diversifying their different traffic channels. Now, what's really interesting with this business, if we look fast forward 7 months to August, we can see that we've grown their organic revenue quite significantly. They've gone from $49,000 per month to $93,000 from organic, and they've gone from $125,000 to $190,000 in the paid search. So that's going well, but their referral traffic has also continued to increase. So they are still overexposed, they're still over-reliant on this. So our job is to continue increasing organic and continue increasing paid so that we can chip away at that lead and broaden the range of traffic sources that they're generating their revenue from. But here we are 7 months in, and organic has only moved from 11.5% to 12.5% of their total revenue. Now, here's a business in a different situation. So when they first came to us, they were generating 61.5% of their revenue from organic search, which we felt was a little bit dependent. We wanted to help them broaden, we wanted to help them diversify in case anything happened to that organic search visibility. So we started working with them on paid search, but they're very skeptical that paid search could be a good channel for their business. Well, luckily we've been able to prove that it is by moving it from 4% of their total revenue to almost 20% of their total revenue. But that took 8 months to do. But of course, the most positive thing about this diversification is that it increases your overall revenue, right? If you stick it out, if you build in these diverse traffic sources, you'll increase your revenue. As we can see here, 35% increase in their monthly revenue over those 8 months. Have you requested your free website and marketing review yet? You're such a disappointment, not just to me, but to yourself. Alrighty, so let's wrap up then with some action steps. I've only got 3 for you here because this is really simple. Step number 1 is to work out if you are overexposed. So if you go into Google Analytics, have a look at your conversions and notice if any one particular traffic source is bringing you more than 40% of your total conversions. If it is, then you probably want to diversify. Step number 2 is to work out whether you are a search or an impulse-led business, or whether you sit somewhere between the two. Step number 3 is to work out which traffic channels you should be diversifying into based on your position on the search impulse spectrum. Of course, if you want help from Exposure Ninja to recommend which traffic sources you should be diversifying into, we have the free website and marketing review, which tells you exactly what you should be focusing on. So just go to exposureninja.com/review and request your free website and digital marketing review today. So until next time, take care. And don't forget my #1 life rule: say no to overexposure.